If anybody ever calls you a tryhard, I think that's a good thing. I think you should be proud of it. Because as an entrepreneur, if you're not trying hard, then how are you supposed to even make it? How are you supposed to win? Look at every big YouTuber, entrepreneur. Like they've eaten shit. They've been taken through the dust. And well, that's why they win. Because the people who tell you that, oh, he's such a tryhard, he's so cringe. Well, you know what I want to tell them? It's, well, view must be great from that glass house of yours. View must be great from the sidelines because you're not actually doing things. I'll tell you. So the first money I ever made in entrepreneurship, I used to craft this very bad perfume. So I'm actually very good at making perfume now because I understand it, but I haven't made it like in 6 years. But I would go and buy my glycerin, my alcohol, and some essences. I would grow these plants in my backyard, and I would like kind of smash them and then put them together. When you would put it on your clothes, because the plant is green, well, your clothes would now be green. And I would go door to door, knock on those doors, and talk to these people. And nothing taught me more about sales than doing that kind of thing. Extreme try hard. And then I discovered online business, and I would go and I would grab my notebook and I would write whoever I was reaching out to. I would write their name on the notebook, and then whatever name it was, I would write it. Then I'd like take it off the page. Then I would take a selfie with it. So I'd grab my phone, take a selfie with it, and that would be my cold outreach. Pre AI, so it couldn't be fabricated unless you had really good Photoshop skills, which I don't. But that was my cold outreach. And then on these videos, like I would look like I was held hostage because English is not my first language. So I would I wouldn't know how to talk. I'd be like so shy about it. And it was absolute try hard, just extreme cringe. But it made me comfortable eventually. And I started learning. I remember one guy, we would be on a group chat and he would mock me because back then I did ghostwriting. And then he'd say, oh, look, Jake is going to show us how to become a millionaire writing tweets. Well, guess what, motherfucker? I did become a millionaire writing tweets, so it actually worked. And so tryhard has this bad connotation, but like, how are you supposed to win? How are you supposed to win if you do not try hard and you're not willing to be cringe in front of an audience? And eventually, you're going to realize, or every entrepreneur will realize, that the biggest months in terms of percentage growth that they've ever had, the biggest years, when they were being cringe, when they were being a tryhard, when they actually said, okay, I'm going to put myself in a position to be shamed, to be ridiculed. And that is the cost and what other people are not willing to pay to win. Scott Adams, I think, has this quote that says, the secret of success is to find the price and then pay it. And often the price can be not monetary. It can be just your ego. And that is what's preventing you from actually going to the next stage. So then, for example, at some point, I thought I was the Don, I was the man, I was that guy, right? And I thought, done. I don't need any more to be cringe or whatever. Well, guess what happened to the business? Down. It went down. And that's just what happened. And then I had to rebuild and really understand why did it go down? Because when you experience such a drop, mine was like 70%. I thought, fuck, like what's going wrong, right? And at some point I stopped taking the risks of being cringe, of looking like an idiot in front of a lot of people. And that's what happened. You often see it with people who hit a goal that in their heads, that is a lot of money. It varies. It varies with everybody. So if it's 10K a month, 30K a month, it happens a lot at 100K a month. People just get really comfortable and they're like, man, I made it. Right? I don't have to pay the price anymore. But entrepreneurship works like energy in the universe. It's entropy. Like you're either growing or you're shrinking. There's no such thing as maintaining. Like that's just not something that happens. And the reason why you grew in the first place to the point at which you became comfortable and you're like, yeah, I made it, I'm the guy, was because you took risk, was because you were ridiculed and you were put in that position. But nobody else did it. Like the supply of people trying to do what you were trying to do was, well, less, right? Because they weren't going to pay it. And then the moment you stop taking risk, you get out of the suppliers that are willing to do those kind of things. And then they go with somebody else who, yeah, they were cringe, but they did something. At least they tried. And so I absolutely hate term try hard. Because yeah, When did trying hard stop being cool? There's a clip by this, I think he's a rapper, of when did trying hard stop being cool? Hopefully we're gonna be able to play it without getting copyrighted or something.
You know, how you gonna knock somebody in the world for actually trying to do something? Trying. Since when has it become not cool to try?
You have to be cringe. You have to try. And so I would wake up and tell myself two stories. And one of those stories led to a lot less money. And the other one led to a lot more. So the one that led to less money was, let me just try to appear like good. Let me just try it and show some sort of status, right? And that actually shrunk the business. You can play it to a point, and some people can play it, and actually envy them to some degree. People like Andrew Tate, who like can play that character flawlessly, and that's how they do it, and that's how they live, and they're like they have a little bit of sociopath in them. I wish I was that kind of guy. I'm not. I'm not. I can't fake things for very long. I can do it for a short time, but I can't fake it for very long. And so the other story that I told myself that actually led to growth is, if I'm putting myself in a position where I can be rejected, ridiculed, and be called cringe, well, then good for me, because I tried, right? Even this video, like, like if you look at me, I got this shitty haircut from this dude, and like for some reason, even if I shower, it takes like 10 minutes and my hair looks like horrible, right? And that's just what happens. Who cares? I'm putting myself in a position to be ridiculed, shamed, and being cringe. Therefore, I'm doing something right in my business. So if you're stuck at a level of income and you can't go past it, it was probably because at some point you were not okay anymore with being cringe. You were not okay anymore with being ridiculed. And then you stop taking risks. But as an entrepreneur, dude, risk is breakfast. Like that's what you gotta do. That's the price. That's the price for success. You have to be in that position. And if you're not willing to pay it, where other people are going to pay it, and they're gonna put out more content than you, they're gonna outwork you, they're gonna get more rejections than you, and therefore more yeses, because they put themselves at bat. They put themselves in a position where they can get lucky. And you cannot get lucky if you're trying to protect your ego. And you have to realize you're gonna be put against two choices. You're gonna have two choices of what to protect. Do you want to protect your ego, or do you want to protect something else, right? And protecting your ego, if you kill that, then the business is going to grow. I probably didn't articulate it right, but who cares, right? I'm gonna put videos anymore. I'm gonna put videos a lot, and I'm gonna be able to correct myself on the things I say. Who cares? I'm gonna be cringe. I'm going to fail. And that's kind of the point, because entrepreneurship is not a place for you to like boast and have ego, right? If you want to do that, become a soccer player. Entrepreneurship is a place where you will be taking a lot of shit, and it's still worth it. Because if you can kill that part of you that wants to maintain that status and that ego, then you're going to open up that part of you that is willing to take all that money. And people who are going to look at you and think, man, at least he tries. Like that, there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of respect of people who, well, it starts cringe, and then people are kind of like, okay, what has he got to say? And then they believe in you, and then they buy your stuff. So that's the price. Maybe if you're stuck, it's because you stopped taking risk. It's because you stopped being cringe. And a good mantra to tell yourself, like to evaluate at the end of whenever you evaluate yourself, even if you don't, but something good to tell yourself at the end of every day to evaluate it is, was I cringe today? Was I put in a position where people could laugh at me and say, look at that loser? Because eventually you win, because they're not going to pay that price. It's really comfortable. View is really good from that glass house of them. So if you can pay that price, then good things await. So I look at people who, well, honestly, they're pretty cringe. And they're recording these videos and they're clearly just tryhards. And I think that's a winner. Because they're going to do it. They're eventually going to figure out a way. Because it looks stupid in the beginning, but then you just win it all. There's this quote by this guy, Daniel Fazio, on Twitter, I really like. It's, nothing happens for the longest time, and then you win all at once. A reframe of that is, you're cringe for forever, and then you're a genius. They call you the 800-pound gorilla. They call you the winner. And that's the price. You just have, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to win, you just have to be cringe.